my true crime besties. How's everybody doing today? Good, I hope. Well, I'm Tasha, and I like to sit down and talk to you guys about true crime that literally WTF me. And here we are again with another one. So welcome, friends. Sit down and have a listen. So this takes place in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Brittany Marcel was living there with her mother and 6 other siblings, okay? And she was said to be known to have like a really great personality, really friendly. She was a senior in high school. She was working at this sunglasses like kiosk place in the mall, and all was well in her life up until September 11th in 2008. So this was a completely normal day for Brittany and her mom, Diane. They actually, so the mom had work and Brittany had school, but they actually were wanting to meet up, like do half day, I'll work half day, you go to school half day, and we'll meet up and have lunch. And instead of meeting up at the restaurant, they decided to meet up at home. Well, so Brittany calls her mom just to make sure, like, hey, I'm on my way home. Are you on your way home? Da-da-da. And her mom said that she sounded normal, like she wasn't scared. She wasn't, like, nothing was wrong with her over the phone that she had noticed. And so when her mom, Diane, got there, she pulls up, sees Brittany's car in the driveway, and okay, maybe she went inside the house. So Diane decides to go in the house. When she opens up the door, and she steps in the house, she was shocked by what she found. She found Brittany on the floor, covered in blood, and all her belongings were all around her, her backpack, her books, everything. And there was a man standing, over Brittany with the shovel in his hand. And Diane said that it's not someone that she recognized. She had no idea who he was, but she did get a good look at him because he wasn't wearing, a mask or anything. So she was able to get a good look at him. And just point that out for this sake right here, that point, because I have questions about that. And it wasn't somebody she knew. So obviously she starts freaking out, and the guy drops the shovel. He runs into the kitchen and grabs his big old butcher knife and says to Diane, and I quote, "You're next," end quote. But she decides to run, which, smart thing. I would have too. She takes off running to the neighbors, and she calls 911 and reports it. Well, she decides to walk back over to the house to check on her daughter, and not knowing if the man is still there, if the man's waiting for her. I mean, she had a lot of guts going back, but to her horror, her daughter was still alive. She was just unconscious, but she was breathing. And instead of the man fleeing out the front door or the back door, he apparently breaks a window and leaves out the window, which is great because he cuts himself, and his blood drops on this piece of glass that he leaves there. Perfect DNA sample for the police. So, police arrive, they get Brittany, send her to the hospital, and right away they're like, okay, the house, it's not a burglary, nothing's stolen, this was just a personal attack on Brittany, and so the police are like, it's someone she knows. They say he left the house as soon as Diane got there, and so it has to be someone she knows, right? And as I said, the DNA they found on a piece of glass, but about a year after Brittany recovers, okay, but not fully, she's not 100%, but she has no recollection of what happened. She thought she was in a car accident at the beginning, so she has no memory of what happened or anything. And you know, her mom's getting frustrated because she's on the investigators, and the investigators are like, look, if your daughter don't remember, which the mom got a good look at him. Why didn't she give a description or, you know, do a sketch? Like, I have so many questions about that. But yeah, I have no idea why they didn't just question her, because apparently she got a good look at him. That's what it said, right? So her mom was just really, you know, upset about the lack of progress until in August of 2013, the family got really lucky because the case got pushed over to a lady named Jody Gunnerman. And she's, like, very passionate about her job and everything like that. So she's, you know, talking to Brittany. We're trying to go over names, places, things, whatever. She's interviewing her, and she's like, wait a second, what about hypnotherapy? Like, we could hypnotize you, or hypnosis, or whatever. And so they're like, okay, let's do that. So they take her there. She actually relived the attack, which is, sorry for that. Right there in front of the hypnotherapist, she left the session remembering a bunch and being super overwhelmed, but she didn't have a specific person. And then she went home to rest for a few days, but then after a few days, she remembered even more, and she eventually came up with a specific description of the person, saying he was, like, very light skin, brown eyes, like, very adamant he had brown eyes and everything like that. Hispanic, and his prominent eyebrows and no visible tattoos, stuff like that. But so then in 2016, years after the attack, they interviewed tons of, like, persons of interest. They were still not getting anywhere, but Detective Gutterman felt like they really weren't making much progress. And this is when she learned about Snapshot. So Snapshot is a cool thing where you send in a DNA and it'll basically create what a person looks like. So she did that. So they did the Snapshot, and she felt it could be very useful. So she sent the DNA to the blood sample and got it made into a Snapshot. It takes a little while for a Snapshot to be put together. So while waiting, she had, like, more interviews with Brittany and tried to remember names and stuff. And she said Justin Hansen kept coming up for some reason. Like, she remembered being friends with this girl named Abby. They played together, and Justin was around a lot. And Justin, she would always see him. He'd pop up at weird places, and he would. They found that he came and saw her at her sunglass place like 3 or 4 times before the attack. So was always around, and she just didn't know. So, like, and he's 7 years older than her, like, so there's just a big difference. But so and the sketch that they got looked like, so the Snapshot comes back, looks like Justin Hansen, just like him, but he has hazel green eyes, and she is saying no, was adamant that he had brown eyes. Well, they go and talk to him and everything, and they question him. He was very nice. He's a father of 3, just chilling outside, and the investigators, you know, he felt really sorry for her and felt bad for Brittany and everything like that, and he's like, but it wasn't me, you know, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And then when they ask him for a DNA test, that's when he, like, shit flips, and he's like, you know what, I need a lawyer. And so he lawyers up, of course, and, you know, the investigators stuck through it, so they ended up following him. They followed him to a fast food restaurant. He was drinking out of a cup. He throws it away. They get the DNA, and it's a match. So July 2017, detectives, they arrested Justin after 9 years, and he pled no contest. And in July of 2018, he was sentenced to 18 years in prison for the attempted murder and aggravated burglary and things like that with a deadly weapon. So, but that Snapshot thing, like, WTF, right? Like, technology these days and DNA and how far in advance it is, it's way cool. And for the detective to stick it out. And feel for Brittany, and I'm glad that you're recovering and doing better. But that's the story. Hope you guys enjoy. Subscribe for more.